How's it going, everybody? David Hedge here, House Hedge Gaming, and today I'm doing something new. So I wanted to dabble a bit in the Magic the Gathering. I did it at the beginning of the channel with doing unboxings and all, but I wanted to do a little bit something more in depth. So I have been playing Magic the Gathering for about between 25 30 years on and off. It started back in Fallen Empires, which coincidentally, that's when a lot of players started to leave the game originally, because that and Homelands was not the best jumping off point for playing the game. But as of late, a lot of the stuff that I play is either pre-release events or I get a chance to play Commander. And I have been playing Commander for a good while now, along with my wife Cindy, and I don't have the greatest win-loss record against her, but you know what, every time she whips my butt, I have a good time. But I wanted to try something out today. I wanted to do a deck tech, and I'm going to try and do this at least one every new set release, major set release. So I'm doing one for the Murders at Karlov Manor. The next one I'll do is for Outlaws of Thunder Junction. But for today's, I found a person that I wanted to use as a commander. And this person definitely has a lot of carnage to them. It's a Rakdos character, and it is Judith, Rakdos Connoisseur. So let me walk you through what I have built so far for this brand new commander, and I'll see you on the other side of the video with some final thoughts. Hope you enjoy. Alright, let's build this deck. So, the commander for this deck is Judith, Carnage Connoisseur. A red, black, and 3 for a 3/4 legendary human shaman. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, choose one. Target spell gains Death Touch and Lifelink, or you can create a 2/2 red imp creature token with, when this creature dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. Okay, right off the bat, decent stats for 5 mana. 3/4. It's not going to die to just a lightning bolt or just like a little ping or 2 because of the 4 toughness. The 2 abilities, though, I really like. Being able to cast an instant or sorcery to either have that spell gain Death Touch and Lifelink, so all my burn spells can do a lot more damage and can also gain me a lot of life. But also the second ability, being able to get a 2/2 imp and instant speed. Basically, they can give me blockers, this can give me extra bodies, and plus, when they die, being able to deal 2 damage to each opponent is really nice. So, we have the commander. Now, first and foremost, let's take a look at the creatures going into the deck. Okay, so let's take a look at the 2-drops and 3-drops in the deck. I don't have any 1-drops in here, but if you have any nice 1-drops that I could throw into this deck, please let me know in the comments below. So, the 2-drops, we have Blood Artist, which whenever Blood Artist or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and I gain a life. This works really well with the imps, and hopefully I'm killing a lot of creatures throughout the game. Young Pyromancer, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you make a 1/1 red elemental creature token. It's a 2/1, but it produces more bodies. Plus, it works well with the Blood Artist when those little bodies go bye-bye. Next, we have Harmonic Prodigy, a 1/3 for 2 for a red and 1. Has Prowess, which is whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1 till end of turn. And if an ability of a shaman or wizard you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Now, Judith is a shaman, so that means if the Harmonic Prodigy is out in play, I get to trigger this ability twice. So that means I can choose one of each, or I can get 2 imps. Either way, it's going to be good times for me, bad times for my opponents. In the 3-drops, we have Pestilent Spirit, Menace, Death Touch, instant sorcery spells you control have Death Touch. So if I don't have Judith out, this one's definitely going to be able to give me a little bit of board control with my damage spells, which we'll go over that a little bit later. I have Braids, Arisen Nightmare, who's able to draw me some cards and make my opponents lose life if they can't sacrifice the appropriate card that I call for. And plus, I've always loved Braids in the entire story of Magic the Gathering. Braids has always been one of my favorite characters. We have Yahini, Undying Partisan, which basically gives me a sack outlet for my creatures. It gives me an indestructible person, and can get bigger when my opponent's creatures go to the graveyard. Next, I have Gutter Snipe, instant sorcery spells that I cast. Gutter Snipe deals 2 damage to each opponent, but with the Prodigy, it doubles that trigger. Finally, we have a Cat Devil here in Mahadi. Beginning of the end step, create a treasure token for each creature that died this turn. I'm planning on killing a lot of creatures, and if that's the case, the Mahadi is going to be a lot of treasures. So that's the 2 and 3 drops. Let's go to some of the bigger drops in the deck. Next up, we have the 4 and 5 drops that I have going into this deck in its first incarnation. So we have Tectonic Giant, being able to deal damage to my opponent and exile cards, basically give me a little bit of an impulse draw whenever it becomes a target of a spell or attacks, is definitely going to help me out. Plus, it's a 3/4 body for 4. You can tell I like 3/4 and 2/4 and 2/4. I like 4. I don't know why. Next, we have Torbrun, Thranid Fell, which increases the damage on my red spells whenever, or red sources whenever they deal damage by 2. We have Bloodletter of Alcazatz, a 2/4 flyer, not bad, but whenever an opponent would lose life during my turn, they lose twice that much instead, and a lot of my burn spells are sorcery speed, so this is going to be putting in a lot of work for those burn spells. Silent Simulacrum, Commander, I needed some ramp. This is a good body to get me some ramp and also to draw me a card. Stormkiln Artist, being able to have Magecraft, give me a treasure each time I cast an instant or sorcery, and they get bigger for each artifact I control. Who knows, I might have some good plethora of artifacts once all these treasures and all get created, but you know what, either way, this can definitely get me some extra mana later on. 5 drops, we have Raphael, Fiendish Savior from the Commander Battle at Baldur's Gate. 4/4 flyer, gives my other demons, devils, imps, and thievelings +1/+1 lifelink. And whenever at the end step, if a creature was put into a graveyard from anywhere this turn, I get to create a little devil. So I got little devils, and then I got big devils. Next, Junji, the Midnight Sky, being able to make my opponents discard 2 cards, lose 2 life, or I get to put a non-dragon creature from the graveyard, any graveyard, onto the field, and I lose 2 life, is not bad. Flying Menace, 5/5 for 5 mana, and I like the dragon. It's one of my favorite artworks from Neon Dynasty. Next, we have Torwaki the Younger. This one's always been a pain in the butt ever since the Dominaria United came out. I played against this guy. A friend of mine, Wesley, has this as a commander. Definitely one of the biggest pains to deal with in a black-red burn deck, and I was like, you know what, next time I go against him, I'll give him a taste of his own medicine. Being able to get some extra life because of Torwaki itself being lifelink and being able to deal damage because I play instant and sorceries, and plus it increases the damage as well. It's pretty good. Finally, I have the Eternal 4/6 for 2 red and 3. At the beginning of the post-combat main phase, I add a red for each 1 life lost. 1 life my opponents have lost this turn. So this can net me a lot of mana in the post-combat main phase. Plus, it's a whole lot better now. This guy used to be really, really up there in price, but thanks to several reprints, I was able to just pick him up at $1.99. So definitely more budget friendly. There's 2 more creatures to go over in this for the higher drops, and also I will take a look at the planeswalkers that are going into the deck. Okay, the 2 big drops for creatures in the deck are 6 drops. We have Rakdos, Patron of Chaos. At the beginning of your end step, target opponent may sacrifice 2 non-land, non-token permanents. If they don't, draw 2 cards. It's a flying trample, 6/6 for 6. 6/6 for 6. Ooh, yep, that's the reason why it's a demon. So this gives me a little bit of card draw, but also can help mitigate a board if somebody's having one big guy and a bunch of lands, then he can be able to take that out. Maybe, but if anything, it should be able to draw me a couple cards. And finally, Etali Primal Storm. Not only is it a big 6/6 for 6, but also being able to get some cards from my opponents so I can play their stuff without paying mana cost is great. And it's a dinosaur. I like dinosaurs. Now for Planeswalkers, I got 3 different ones. I got the, basically, Charlie has their angels. I have my Planeswalking divas here, if you will. So I have Professor Onyx, works great with the Magecraft ability with instant sorceries, being able to give me some card draw, being able to make my opponent sacrifice creatures, And if I can get to this -8, where each opponent discards a card, if they don't, they lose 3 life, and you repeat the process 6 more times, that'd be really cool. I don't think I'll ever get there, but these first 2 abilities, plus the static ability, will work really good. Chandra, Hope's Beacon, being able to copy my spells would be pretty cool for instant sorceries, give me a little extra mana, impulse, draw, and also being able to just -X to deal X damage to each of the 2 creatures. Again, don't see that last ability happening, but the first 2 in the static, really good. Now, granted, yes, 2 6-mana Planeswalkers. I do have some ramp in here, so that should help out a little bit. But I like playing Planeswalkers. I know these have always been like a point of contention with a lot of players. Some people play them in Commander, some people don't. I'm one of those players that do, because if you can get the payoff to happen, it's really good. Finally, you have Jaya Ballard. Rest in peace, Jaya, from the Great Phyrexian War. 5 mana for 5 loyalty, being able to add extra mana to cast my instant sorceries, being able to shuffle through my deck a little bit, discarding up to 3 cards, drawing that many that I discard, and being able to cast instant sorcery cards from my graveyard with the -8. Giving them essentially flashback would be really nice, but again, first 2 abilities are going to be really good. But that's the creatures and planeswalkers. Now let's take a look at the instant sorceries that'll be going into Judith's deck. Alright, here are the instants that I have going into the deck so far. So we have, for card draw, we have Demand Answers, Unexpected Windfall, Deadly Dispute. These 3 are going to be able to help me get some card draw going, plus it's either discarding a card or sacrificing an artifact or creature to get me major card draw in the game. I also have Dark Ritual to give me a little bit of ramp, because I do have some spells that have like double and triple black. This will help me out. Just to let you know, with this altar here, in case you're wondering, this is from Starlina Moore of Is a Star Altars. If you'd like to check out more of her artwork, I will include the link to her website and her YouTube page in the description of the video. More burn here. We have Electro Dominance, Electrickery, and Lightning Bolt. I have seen people win games with Lightning Bolt. My wife has won Commander games with Lightning Bolt, not just against me. So I have to make sure that's in here in the deck. We have Cast into the Fire, being able to deal damage, but also exile an artifact's really good. We have a few ways to save creatures when they go to the graveyard with Armor of Shadows and Supernatural Stamina. And then we have a little bit of removal and a little bit of recursion here with Chaos Warp and Invoke Calamity. So those are the instants. Now for the sorceries. Okay, sorceries is where I have a lot more dealing with creatures in mind on this end. So we have Terminate, a classic kill spell for Rakdos. We also have our Devastation, Fiery Confluence, Tectonic Hazard, excuse me, Into the Fire, Smash to Dust, Gyrod's Belligerence, Chain Reaction, and Mizium Mortars. If any of these are able to connect while I have Judith in play, or even Pestilent Spirit, I could wipe the board, even if it's just 1 point of damage going to hit every creature. With Judith, that could be a lot of life gain too. With these especially, it is going to be great. Now, I also have Call Forth the Tempest. That has Cascade. It's 8 mana. I know it's a big spell, but you know what? I had to play it, because this thing can have a major payoff, especially if you're going against a pod with like a bunch of creatures, somebody's playing tokens and all. This can wipe the board and gain me an insurmountable amount of life during the process. This deals damage to each creature my opponents control equal to the total mana value of other spells I've cast this turn. Now, this includes the spells you're cascading. So if you're able to do this, this could be a major game changer. Granted, it's a higher risk and it's high mana with 8 mana, but being able to do this, it gives you a great reward. Also, we have Faithless Looting, gives me a little more card draw. We have Light Up the Stage as well, does a little bit of card draw. It's cheaper if I'm able to deal damage to my opponent with the Spectacle mechanic. And it is Impulse Draw. I know some people are going, it's not true card draw. You don't keep the cards forever in your hand. True, but that does give you options for your next turn and even that turn, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Finally, we have Mythic's Mastery, to where if I can cast this, I can play a big spell without paying its mana cost. Like, for example, Call Forth the Tempest if I discard it. A little combo here. but also being able to overload it and hit every single instant and sorcery spell I have in my graveyard would be a fantastic way to clear the board and possibly finish off my opponents. So that's the instants and sorceries. Actually, I just realized I slipped an instant right in there in the sorcery section. Yep, that's not the first time I'll do that, and probably won't be the last. But there's the instant and sorcery cards going into the deck. Now let's go into enchantments and artifacts. Okay, now we have enchantments. So with the enchantments, we have Wound Reflection. At the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn. This can end a lot of games real quick. Double Vision, giving my instants and sorcery spells the first one I play each turn. Be able to copy it. Amazing. Painful Quandary. I've always loved this card when it first appeared in Scars of Mirrodin. Being able to give your opponents, like, basically like a villainous choice. I would say this is like the original villainous choice type deal from like Doctor Who. That's probably where they got the idea from. When you cast a spell, you either gotta lose 5 life or you discard a card. And if they can't discard a card, well, guess what? They're gonna be losing some life. Fiery Inscription gives a little more oomph to my instant sorcery spells. Phyrexian Arena, all-time favorite card. Love this card, and I really enjoy the artwork on the one from Phyrexia Albi 1. And then we have Virtue of Courage. Gives me a little bit of a burn spell, but also being able to impulse draw a bit as well. From this, when it hits as an enchantment, is going to be a big help with this deck. Now for artifacts. Artifacts are going to be a little bit light. We do have some ramp in here with Mind Stone, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Rakdos Signet, Liquid Metal Torque, which also helps out with turning stuff into artifacts and getting rid of it. I do have a little bit of artifact removal in the deck. And Wayfarer's Bauble. We also have Jet Medallion to help make the black spells a little bit cheaper. If I can get a Ruby Medallion, that'll probably go in here as well. And I do have Bolus's Citadel, Posty's Citadel, which I got from the Post Malone Secret Lair a while back that I got from my wife. I built her Azur the Enchanter deck, Posty the Enchanter deck a while back, and she didn't end up putting these in the deck. She might end up at some point, but right now they're going to be having a home in the Judith Carnage Connoisseur. And then finally have Lightning Greaves, because I have a little bit of way to help protect Judith, along with the spells that I have in the deck. So that is all for the main spells and everything. The lands are pretty much what you would expect in the black-red deck, so let's go over those real quick. Okay, finally for basic lands / other lands, I have 37 total lands going into the deck. That might be a little bit more, but I may adjust it by a land or two once I get some playtesting in. But I have everything from Foreboding Ruins. We have Raucous Theater, which is the new Surveil land from Murders at Karlov Manor. We have a little bit of Poor Man's Fetch lands with Evolving Wilds and Terminal Expanse. Castle Lochthwain, Dragonskull Summit, Draw's Forge Bridge, Command Tower. Always gotta have Command Tower if you're playing more than one color. Maestro's Theater to help me fetch a little bit and gain just a little bit of life. Smoldering Marsh, and Myriad Landscape. And that is the Judith Carnage Connoisseur deck for my newest creation in Commander. And now we'll go to me at the computer desk for some final thoughts. Okay, so there was my first deck tech for Magic the Gathering. And I know it's not perfect. I'm not a Magic the Gathering personality. I know a lot of the fundamentals of the game. Been playing it for a while, but I don't have the intricate parts of gameplay down pat like a lot of other Magic personalities are. But you know what? This is a game that got me started into the realm of gaming, and I wanted to at least show some love to the game that started my hobby in being a card gamer and board gamer and role-playing gamer. It's all because of Magic the Gathering was my entry point into this wide world of gaming that I love to share with all of you. And hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know. If you didn't, and if you have any critiques about what I could do better, I'm all ears. I would love to do it so I can improve on the next one. Because like I said, the next plane that they're going to is one that is a Wild West theme where it's a lot of Magic the Gathering villains all in one plane. And it's called the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. And it's going to be a whole lot of fun. I cannot wait to see what legends come out in that set. So thank you all so much for checking out this video. If you like it, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And let everyone know that House Hedge Gaming is here for all of your gaming needs. So until next time, everyone, stay safe and take care, my friends.